As you mentioned, we've got Zirene joining us now to break down these matches in an exciting best-of-5 series against Complexity and Teammate. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, man. I had to come in here and just break up that bromance. You guys are getting a little too lovey-dovey over here.
Don't hate, don't hate. Anyway, it was a fantastic win there by Team 8. And I have to say, Complexity did look really strong early, right? They were making some great movements around the map. They were taking plenty of turrets, but losing out in other global objectives.
Yeah, they're pretty much bleeding dragons out to Teammate, and Teammate was picking the fights, but the split push is what was really going well for Complexity.
Yeah, it's definitely all about that split push. That is what Teammate doesn't really seem to react to very well. I think one thing Complexity can continue to do is continue to split push. And if they're going to be bleeding out these dragons, then they need to have some sort of strategy, have a better late game, or have taking towers while they're leaving these dragons, because bleeding all these dragons against a team fight comp is really bad. Like, the Maokai pick was huge. As soon as they got ahead off the dragons, they were just forcing these engages. Calitrolls was teleporting behind them, Flash, engaging. He was forcing the fights when they had the advantage, and they were able to capitalize off that.
Definitely, I feel like Teammates struggled a bit with indecision when it came to that split push, but as soon as the team fights started up, they were in their comfort zone. They were ready to go, and they were team fighting pretty superbly.
Yeah, that's definitely the forte there for Teammate. They love to team fight. Calitrolls is the shot caller, and he loves to come down, and every time that he teleports, it's one of the best teleports I've seen. His teleport usage is fantastic regardless of the champion he's on. We've seen him play Fizz, and he still knows how to position with that and know what to do. And he really does dictate the composition and the style of the team based on his pick. If he's got a Maokai, they're going to be team fighting always. If he's got the Fizz, he's going to split push, try to duel the top laner, then he'll TP in.
Sometimes he goes a little too far with his engages, but he will go in, and that's something I really respect. He does not waste time. He does not wait around. He'll go for that engage. He'll force the next fight so that they can get an objective.
Yeah, and a big thing about that is even when Teammate is behind, he still has that play style. He's not the type of guy who sits around and lets the game just fall apart around him. He's always forcing a fight, even if they're 8K down. He's got to do something. He's like the now or never type of person.
And what I love about that, we're gonna layer it on here. Yeah. What I love about that is that when he goes in, though, and sometimes he does go too deep, the rest of the team follows. There is no questioning the call that is being made. And so, Zirene, I know you have a little bit of insight into why that is.
So Calitroll's logic as the shot caller is, I'm going in when I say go. If nobody's following me, it's all you guys' fault. If it's a bad call, you still follow it. You have to follow his call. He's the utmost authority in there, and everybody else just trolls him if he goes in.
Exactly. So anyway, I do want to jump into the team fight that kind of turned things around, and it's kind of a big tell right there, the fact that it was a team fight. We're going to go 26 minutes into the game, going to the mid lane around the the mid turrets here. So Zion, go ahead and walk us through this one.
Yeah, so this is when Teammate was grouping up. They'd got the couple free dragons. They actually had a sizable gold lead now, and they're pushing down mid. They got the Braum in front. Maokai just comes in from the side, lands a nice root onto Prolly into the shockwave, instantly gets blown up. Kez gets out a little bit, and then he decides to safeguard back in right when the teammate backs up and dies to a dissonance, surprisingly. And then at this point, this is where Calitrolls flashes in so they can pick up the last 2 kills. And so far it's a 4 for 0. Everything's looking great. And then Maple Street flashes in, and then he's like, oh, whoops, I can't fight that Fed Lucian.
But as we said, Maokai actually engaged twice there. He engaged onto the Syndra, and then, as you said, later in the fight, Flash re-engaged. And so that's just, again, the idea that once we take 1 kill, we're going for more. We're going to push this advantage to its end.
Yeah, and Porpoise Pops with the shout-out to Broken Shard there after the team fight.
You had to bring that up, although it was pretty hilarious,
was great.
I must say. So now we get into, all right, what's the solution here? We already talked about a little bit that Complexity, with the split push, they did well with that. They were also funneling a ton of farm onto the Lucian. It's very clear that the Robert Bubba lane is the stronger of the 2 bot lanes. But is that lane alone enough to carry them through?
I think they should definitely tailor more towards their bot lane. You saw that they were getting a 20-30 CS lead at like 6 minutes into the game. So they definitely have an edge there. They can, from the bottom lane, you can easily control dragon areas. So if their bottom lane's getting that far ahead, maybe they can force a good back timing where they can just set up for a free dragon. If you have that kind of advantage in bot lane, you should take advantage of it. But there's also Calitrolls that you have to watch out for. What's he going to be playing? Is he going to have his teleport up? Because when you look for those plays bottom, there's always the threat of a teleport.
All right, so then let's go to the top lane, Zirene. What does Complexity do in that situation? Because we saw Maokai is not even one of his unconventional picks, and he's getting ahead in form. He's getting to that state where he can fearlessly engage. And to be honest, the Alistair pick was a little underwhelming there.
Well, yeah, they first picked it because it was left unbanned, and Westrice didn't have the same type of impact in the team fights. He's CC. I think the first time I saw him hit 3 people with a Pulverize was near that last fight. Like, his impact was not very high, and he wasn't creating this zoning potential. He wasn't getting a carry completely out of the fight when it would go down. And it was really difficult. But Westrice, he needs to be better with his TPs. He needs to match Calitroll's aggression and also be very aware of what's going on the map. That's a huge thing for Westrice. And Calitrolls, he can throw curveballs at you because he might not play a team fighter again.
I would be curious to see whether or not Complexity decides to shift a little bit more focus to the top lane. We did see them rotate up a few times, but it was in response to Team 8 moving up into the top lane and trying to get Calitrolls ahead. So I would rather see Complexity be proactive in keeping Calitrolls down and let Robert and Bubba do their thing. Let them take care of themselves in the bot lane. And then meanwhile in the mid lane, it is a farm fest, but I'm pretty confident in Prawley's ability to farm on a champion like Syndra and be relevant later in the game.
I actually think Complexity's better strategy is to help snowball their bot lane, because it's kind of like the mentality in solo queue. When your top lane's feeding like they're 0-10, you don't want to go up there against the 10-0 person and then try to kill them, because you're just going to die too. Instead, I think it's better to go to their strengths, go to their bot lane, help them snowball, get the vision control from them, and control the bottom and mid side instead of trying to constantly look top.
And here's the thing, too, that you have to consider with all of this is the teams that I've watched actually be successful against Team 8 have focused the top lane because Calitrolls is the shot caller, and he's very kind of emotional and takes the game the way that he is in it. So if he's behind, his calls are going to be a little more reserved, but he's still going to go hard, but not as hard as TPs. He'll try to make something happen, but he might overestimate himself and go too hard, and that'll cost Team 8.
Well,
so I think the top lane might be the way in.
So it seems like there might be a few options there then to deal with him, but I feel like either way they have to make a decision one way or the other and fully dedicate their team or their game plan to that. But with that game, the Team 8 hype train is on track after Game 1, but can they keep the momentum up against Complexity? It's Game 2 when we come back, so don't go anywhere.
No, Prawley picking up that kill. Nice 3-man shockwave. So much damage on Complexity, but the double kill coming through from Prawley. Robert Exley takes a cock to the head. Gonna stop Kez from living anymore. And another twisted advance. This is Team 8's team fight prowess coming through huge.
Nice. Watch for Alistair.
Dragon 52. Let's go, baby! Westrice now is gonna fall down as well. Team 8 with such a decisive win towards the end of this game, especially knowing exactly where they're strong.